My governing philosophy, if you will, is the unity of all things. That there really is there's just one thing with an infinite number of ways that it expresses itself. There's just one consciousness. There's one mind behind everything, and everything that arises within that mind. You know, I feel like, all these distinctions that we make between self and other, and between inside and outside, between above and below. They're not only arbitrary, but they're actually wrong. They're arbitrary to the extent that from the place of embodying that awareness, they seem real. But in fact, that's not how it is. How it seems is not how it is. Everything is an expression of a universal intelligence. You could call it the mind of God. You could call it universal intelligence. You could call it the one mind. Whether you deify it by calling it God or not is really kind of like irrelevant, because it really doesn't matter. It doesn't care what you call it. It is what it is. And to use word like God or universal intelligence, it's just an expedience of expression and sharing your ideas. Now, I know that not everybody agrees with this, because some people feel it's really important to call it Jesus Christ or Jehovah or Allah or all that. But that's just ridiculous. To think that you can call it all those things, but to think that by calling it one thing, it's not all those other things, that's what's ridiculous. I think it's good to have a way to call it, and to be in exchange with it, and to be in service to it. And you are, whether you like it or not. And the more conscious you can be of that, I think the better for you and for the people in your life and for the world at large. But whatever your brand is, it doesn't really matter. It's very dangerous when you think you know that somebody else is a moron. Because how do you know that you're not a moron? If you see people, like right now, people in Afghanistan are killing Americans because, they burned some Korans. And you can look at that and say, well, those guys are clearly morons. They're insane. And they are. But how do I know that I'm not insane? And that how do I, because I guarantee you they don't think they're insane. Any way that's real is more expansive and inclusive. So if my philosophy can embrace the morons by understanding that they have a certain level of intelligence, that is in me too. But I'm not limited by that level of intelligence, because I can have a more circumspect, and I don't mean a broader intellectual view, but actually a more circumspect energetic view, a more rarefied idea. And then I can sort of see what that is. Then maybe there's a chance that I'm not wrong. So somehow I have to come to the conclusion that either, well, we're really all just morons of varying degrees, or no, in fact, there is some hierarchy of intelligence or awareness, and that there are some people that just know some things that other people don't know. And neither one of those conceptual evaluations of reality is satisfying. And yet I do think, there is clearly, there are people that are not to deify Gandhi or anything like that, but there's a difference in the consciousness between someone like Gandhi and someone like George Bush. There just is, there just is. So somehow we do have a discriminating awareness of that. I mean, not everybody does, because there are some people that thought George Bush was, Gandhi. But there is something in us that we trust that is a guide to whether I'm on the right path or the wrong path, to whether my beliefs are limiting or expansive, to whether I'm on a path of discovery or whether I'm rigid. And these are distinctions that that we all have to make all the time. And usually, what tends to happen is people tend to get positions and then feel the need to defend their position, whether as an artist or as a human being, as a religious person or a philosopher. But you need to continually be on the move, I think. You need to continually go deeper and become more expansive. And I think, there has to be love behind it. There has to be this love of being. I think if the love of being is not informing my beliefs, I'm going down the wrong path.